Wow, it has been so long since I've made a flip video. That's because we've been working on our research papers so hard. You have homework tonight. I can guarantee you I am still grading research papers and I have much more homework than you tonight. But your homework is important. It is to understand verbals. And just so you know, a verbal is a verb in disguise. Now, if you make it all the way to the end of this presentation, you will get to see Justin and I in disguise. It's an interesting picture. So for this flip video, you're going to need to make a 3-flap horizontal foldable. You're going to want to trim the sides so it fits in your composition book. You're going to want to label it just like this one. Across the bottom, put verbals, verbs, disguise, intro, or verbs in disguise, intro. And your 3 flaps are participles, gerunds, and infinitives. You will become very comfortable with those words very soon. Pause the video, make the foldable, and then come on back. All right, so far you don't have to write anything down. I'll tell you when you have to write something down. But you do need to know that there are 3 types of verbals, verbs in disguise, and they are participles, gerunds, and infinitives. And you can see we have some examples. The frightened cat scratched my eyes. Running seems tiresome at first. Sometimes I like to swing, and sometimes I like to slide at the park. Whoa, I think I lost something there. Okay, well, if you look at this was supposed to come up and it didn't. Frightened is a participle because it describes cat. Running is a gerund because it is a verb acting as a noun and it is acting as the subject of the sentence. And sometimes I like to swing. To swing is your infinitive. I've been talking about infinitives all year long. All right. Oh, wait, here it is. So there's your participle. See, I knew it was here. I just didn't go far enough. There's your gerund. And there is your infinitive. I'm so glad I got them right. It would have been embarrassing if I hadn't. Oh. All right, so we're going to start with participles. Wow, I am just all confused today, but we're flipping back to participles. That should be your first flap. And at the top of the flap, on the top part of the flap, you need to write that a participle is a verbal that acts as an adjective. For example, you don't have to write these. The crying woman left the movie theater. Crying describes woman, but crying could also be a verb, but in this case it's an adjective. Frustrated, the child ran away from home. Frustrated describes the child. You need to know that a participle will almost always end, notice I had to say almost, in ing or ed. There are, of course, exceptions, but we're not going to worry about them today. Here's another, participle is a form of a verb that acts as an adjective. We just talked about that. There you go. Make some bullet points. You need to write that they end in ing, that they end in ed, and some might end in something else. This should all be on the top part of your flap. On the bottom part of your flap, I would like you to write these 4 sentences. The crying baby had a wet diaper. Shaken, he walked away from the wrecked car. The burning log fell off the fire. And smiling, she hugged the teddy bear. Please write those down on the bottom half of your flap and see if you can find the participle. Take a minute, do it, try it. Don't just look at the answer. All right, unpause. In the first sentence, crying describes baby. In the second sentence, there are 2. Shaken describes he and wrecked describes car. And in the third sentence, burning describes log. And in the fourth sentence, smiling describes she. All right, moving right along. You don't have to write any of this down. This is just information you should remember. A participle is a verb that ends in ed or ing. It is always near the noun or pronoun. When you use a participle, please place it as close to the noun or pronoun as possible. You do not want a dangling participle. Think about it like dating, once again. Participles really like their nouns. And a participle phrase, sometimes you have a participle in a word that goes with it, is set off with commas when it comes at the beginning of a sentence. For example, laughing is your participle. Laughing aloud is your participial phrase. And laughing aloud, comma, Mrs. Clark gave everyone an A. Hopefully because they earned it. Close your participle flap. We're on gerunds. Open your gerund flap. Across the top of the flap, write, a gerund is a verbal that acts as a noun. It also always ends in ing. Running is great exercise. Most people enjoy eating. Okay, and as you can see, running and eating are your gerunds. Underneath that definition that you just wrote, that it is a verbal that acts as a noun that ends in ing, they always, listen, I get to say always end in ing. You need to write that they can be anything that a noun can be. So put a bullet point and write the subject, because they could be a subject, such as in traveling might satisfy your desire for new experiences. Then put another bullet point and put DO. They could be a direct object, which would follow, by the way, an action verb. They do not appreciate singing. What do they not appreciate? Singing. Put another bullet point and put SC for subject complement. A gerund could be a subject complement. My cat's favorite activity is sleeping. Is your linking verb, therefore sleeping is your subject complement. And last but not least, it can act as an object of a preposition. The police arrested him for speeding. For is your preposition, or excuse me, I said object of a preposition, right? And then speeding is your object. So you should have a bullet point subject, bullet point DO, bullet point SC, and bullet point OP, object of preposition. Now, on the bottom part of that flap, please write down these sentences and see if you can underline the gerund and tell me what part of the sentence it is. Is it a subject, a direct object, object of a preposition, or a subject complement? Write them down. Give it a shot. All right, and here we go. Talking is a disruptive activity. Talking is your gerund, and it's functioning as a subject. My son loves playing with his toy dinosaur. What does my son love? He loves playing. Playing is your gerund, and it's functioning as a direct object. The doctor gave studying all of his attention. Studying is your gerund. What did the doctor give? He gave studying. Therefore, studying is your direct object. You should have these sentences down. And you can close the gerund flap, and we are moving on to infinitives. By the way, you all know this is just an introduction. We're going to go over these one at a time, too. So, what you need to write at the top is a verbal that appears with the word to, and it acts as a noun. It can also be an adjective or adverb, but this year, you only really need to find it as a noun, because we're going to let you figure out the adjective adverb part in 8th grade. Examples are to study, to sleep, to read. All right, so infinitives are really hard to find. You just have to make sure you don't mess up and find a preposition and say it's an infinitive. So if you look, to wait, wait is your verb. So to wait seems foolish when action was required. In this case, it's acting as a subject. By the way, I think you're supposed to be writing these examples down underneath on the bottom part of your flap. So do that right now as I'm reading them. Pause if you need to. Everyone wanted to go. To go is your infinitive, and it acts as your direct object. What did everyone want? They wanted to go, and wanted is an action verb. His ambition is to fly. In this case, to fly is your infinitive, and it acts as a subject complement because it follows a linking verb. Please always remember, is a verb. It's always a verb, always. And number 4, he lacked the strength to resist. All right? And to resist is actually functioning as an adjective to describe strength. So you don't have to worry about that one as much because it's functioning as something different. There you go. There are all your answers. You should have all those written down. Identify the verbals. Identify the verbals in the following sentences and identify them as a participle, a gerund, or an infinitive. You don't have to write any of these down. This is just your practice. We're going to do this in class tomorrow. This is just to get you an idea of what you're looking at. So if you look at number 1, meditating on positive idea brings great physical health. What would be your verbal? Number 2, the explorer struggled to find the remote colony. What would be your verbal? And number 3, the heated pool is great for sore muscles. Let's see if there's some answers coming up. Oh, and there they are. Meditating is your gerund. To find is your infinitive. And heated is your participle. And this is what the inside of your foldable should look like. Please make sure yours does. And wait for it. There is Justin and I in disguise. His mustache do you like better? I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.